Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev for your match reaction, your Lions Raw match reaction show. And we have a hell of a show in store for you. Obviously, it's to react to Aston Villa 3, Everton 2. And what a game it was. I mean, so much happened in the game. We're going to go right through it, all the talking points from the game. Make sure you smash that like button and hit the subscribe button. We had great reaction to my instant reaction yesterday, and we've really gone up and shot up in terms of the subscribers. So we want to keep going. We're getting closer to 4,700, obviously on the road to 5K. So like, subscribe, and keep your comments coming in. Kev, how are you doing, mate? What a game yesterday.
Yeah, mate, it was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it? Absolutely brilliant. It's always nice to get a victory. And when was the last time Villa came from 2 goals behind to win a match? I can't. Was it Arsenal '98? Was it? We were two down there,
it
weren't we?
could well be. I'm pretty sure we've had a game since then, but I'm trying to think if we did it last season. I remember that
I can't think of a
I
game
remember
going
that
two
Brentford
behind,
game was very topsy turvy, but we went 2-0 up. Then it went to
two
3-2
up.
Brentford,
Yeah,
and then we got it back to 3-3. But yeah, it's been a long time, I think, since that. Someone I'm sure in the chat will be able to tell us. But yeah, obviously before we get into it in terms of the match, we just want to put our give our thoughts and prayers to Gary Shaw and his family. Obviously, we saw on X and on across social media that he'd sadly passed away. I obviously tweeted out off the podcast channel about our thoughts, and the numerous people did the same thing. But it has been revealed that he hasn't passed away, and he's still fighting. And we just want to pass our thoughts and prayers to his family and to Gary. Come on, you have got this. And yeah, he can pull through, Kev.
yeah, absolutely. I'm sure all Villa fans are the same, really. I don't think there's anything. There's been a few rumors going around about, is it been maliciously leaked? Is it a hoax? Is it confusion with someone of the same name? I genuinely think it's probably something where he's obviously really seriously ill, and there's just someone's heard something, and then it's just got to gone from there. Um, Absolute Villa legend. I've met him actually a couple of times in the last few years down the Villa. Got a nice photo with him and my kids. He still looks like he's in good nick. 63, full of life. Vivacious. Held the room in all his conversations. And obviously an absolute Villa legend whose career was cruelly cut short by an injury in a tackle. I think it was Forest. I think it was Gary Bowyer from Nottingham Forest tackled him, and he was telling me all about it. And you know what I was going to say? Like, whatever the situation is, and we're keeping our fingers crossed, of course, that he pulls through. But there's been a couple of times I've been down the Villa, and I've seen some of the players when I've been in the lounge a couple of times. And it's easy to just think, I won't say hello. But I just thought this. Well, last time I saw him, I was like, I'm going to go and talk to him. And I guess my point is, it's like you never know when you might not get a chance to speak to someone again. So whether that is, this is my my kind of plea to everybody. We've all got a family member we've not spoken to for a bit. We've all got a friend we haven't spoken to for 30 years. Like, life's so short. We're obviously keeping our fingers crossed for Gary, but maybe in your own personal life, send someone a message, let them know you're thinking of them, because you never know when that last time will be. So yeah, fingers crossed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And look, we know he lit up Villa Park on numerous occasions, and players lit up Villa Park yesterday. I mean, we might as well kick off with the moment of the game. I mean, absolute incredible scenes. And this was everyone's face, I'm pretty sure, when this goal went in from John Duran. I mean, this guy, he just keeps doing it, doesn't he? He just keeps shocking us, wowing us, whatever you want to, whatever superlatives you want to give us. He keeps delivering.
I think he could solve world peace, John Duran. I really think he could. Send him over to America, like to sort the election out, and various wars around the world, because he can do no wrong at the moment. I mean, he was literally persona non grata with Villa fans about a month ago. He's doing his iron symbol to West Ham. He's deleting all of his Villa stuff off his social media. He's liking all the Chelsea posts. One minute he's flirting with Chelsea, the next minute he's flirting with West Ham. Anyway, Aston Villa are now fifth in the league. Very, very close to the top. We've got 9 points this season. And all of the points have been won by John Duran. All 9 of them. So,
Yes.
like, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Obviously, the other players have played a part in that, but you get my point. He scored the winner in 3 games, the winning goal in 3 games. And good job Watkins started scoring because, I mean, is there anyone else in the team? I'll say it now. Is there anyone else in the league that would attempt what he did from 30 yards out? I don't know if there is.
Well, I was laughing with my dad chatting to him because he was at the game yesterday, and I said, basically, he's the only player in that Aston Villa squad that would come on and just completely go against everything that Unai Emery stands for in terms of his coaching and strategy plan.
Yeah,
Because there is absolutely no way that Unai Emery would have said, John, like, what I want you to do is I want you to just shoot from 35 yards in a
yeah.
1 in 1,000 strike. But he just does it. He just does it. He just plays off the cuff. He plays off instinct. And you need players like that.
Well, I mean, Emery said it himself in his post-match thoughts, right? But there was that Man City game early in his Villa career where he came on, took it on the chest, didn't he, as a sub, and swiveled and absolutely smashed it off the crossbar.
Yeah.
He's got that. Oh, my great name's coming to say hello.
Hey,
Uh,
here he is.
so he used to be a regular on the channel, didn't he, buddy?
He
Here
did.
he
He
is.
did.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Obviously, he scored that screamer against Ajax. He scored that absolute belter against Palace, goal of last season. He's got it in his locker, and obviously the goal against Liverpool, obviously the first of the 2 again, long
Yeah,
distance
just
strike.
smashed it. Yeah, yeah. You mentioned Crystal Palace just on the
Yeah,
turn, smashed
he,
it. The goal, the other goal against Man City, the 1-2 with Morgan Rogers.
yeah, great finish.
Yeah,
He's good in the air. He's strong. He's quick. He's got a hell of a shot on him. He's a baller, isn't he? He's a baller, and like as each week goes on, all the other teams in the league will be ruining the missed opportunity to get him when there probably was more of a chance if they plunked up a bit more cash. West Ham, notably, Chelsea apparently as well. And he's becoming more and more valuable to Aston Villa, both in terms of monetary value if he does eventually get his move to Real Madrid next season, or in actual value of points. And you can see the way the squad are with him celebrating that. He seems like he's big part of the squad. Like seems like there's a lot of love and camaraderie there, and like they've put it all behind them. So yeah, it's just great to see. And I think we mentioned it recently on the pod, but is there a strike force duo, whether they always play together or not? But is there a team in the Premier League that have got 2 better options than Ollie Watkins and John Duran as their 2 strikers? I say there's not. I say we've
mm,
got the best 2 options in the league. We're not talking false nines. I'm not talking like, I'm talking you want a striker to play either on their own, part of a 2, whatever it is. I think we've got the best 2 options. That is, we've got the best keeper in the league, in my opinion, and we've got the best 2 striking options, and our midfield's unbelievable. I think it's a super exciting time to be a Villa fan. It really is when you think about it.
yeah. Tombo says Isak and Wilson, but Wilson's never fit.
He's
That's
not.
the thing, isn't it? He's never fit. I like Wissa and Embuemo. I really like them
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, I like them too as well. They do score goals. They're effective, aren't they? They're still a little bit unpredictable. I think they're good as well.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, he's absolutely turned it around, and I guess we were maybe a little bit quicker to forgive him than some others. We did say it in pre-season, as soon as he gets a couple of goals in a Villa shirt and wins us a couple of games, everyone will forgive him, and all is forgiven. And I think I think scoring that goal yesterday, I think everyone's just like, yeah, we're back in the John Duran camp now.
Who cares what he did? Like I don't
Yeah.
like if he puts the shirt on and he plays for the club. I say it to my kids all the time. Like, listen, it's all a good saying sorry, but it's all about what you do afterwards. If you do something wrong, does it really matter? Let's fix it. And it's all about, for me, intention. What's your intention? What's your kind of like thought process behind what you're doing? He's a young lad. Yeah, I was annoyed that he was flirting with his other teams, and I felt like he doesn't want to respect the squad and Mr. Unai in terms of what we're trying to do. But he's got a big opportunity now to play in Europe's premier competition. Villa riding high in the league. And I think he probably admits, you could tell when he scored the goal, couldn't you, against West Ham, when he was like,
Mm.
I'm staying. When he's pointing down at something, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was something else he was doing, but Stop that, Kevin. Right, I'm staying. So I just think like sorry, I mean it's 9:45. Sorry, don't clip that one. And you know, I just think we've got such a good team spirit in the squad that he can do everything he wants to do at Aston Villa. Everything he wants to do, and he's knocking hard on that door. And Emery said in his post-match like press conference that he will get his opportunity to start a game soon. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised if he started against young boys.
No, and I think there's an opportunity in Europe, particularly away from home, maybe to utilize him. Now
Yeah.
we'll segue into discussion about Ollie Watkins because it was fantastic to see him get back on the score sheet, but still sticking to the John Duran story slightly. Emery also in his post match talked about potentially looking at playing them together and said that it would take more time, but they are considering that strategy. Now, can you see that coming to fruition? It was obviously Danny Ings and Ollie Watkins a few games, but it didn't quite work. But can you see a Duran Watkins strike partnership?
I think you could in certain situations. I don't think you'll see it in terms of like, from the off in a game, but as Emery said himself, for 15 minutes they played together. And that's the thing you got to think about now. Like maybe it'll be 15, 20 minutes at the end of a game where he'll try them both together. I think they're both good enough to do that. I think they need the support. I think the system behind it needs to obviously support that with the strength behind. But um, I mean, Watkins is a. We said it before. We say it again, and we'll come on to it shortly. But obviously, he's always a threat. He's always in the right positions to get opportunities. Whether he always scores them recently, but obviously, Saturday was good for him. But Duran is just a massive threat. I mean, his goals to games ratio is bettered only by that freak of nature, Erling Haaland. So
Yeah,
just
it was
it's
like
just ridiculous.
it's gone down. It was not every. It was a goal every 96 minutes, and because he scored after 7 minutes yesterday, it's gone down to a goal every 86 minutes now or something. So he's
I know.
catching up with Erling Haaland.
But he done it again, like within 7 minutes, and the
I know.
commentators are like, "Oh, Duran." They mentioned his record as the sub, and then he it's like, how can I make sure everyone knows I am the real deal? Let's just bang in a curling thunder blaster from 30 yards out into the top corner
It was
against
a
England's
swerve. It
goalkeeper.
was a swerve on it. It was everything. Like it just had everything on it. It had dip, swerve, power. Like Pickford, it surprised. Pickford was like, "Why is he shooting from there?" It just had everything about it. So yeah, I mean, absolutely incredible. And I did, like I said, I teased the idea of bringing Ollie Watkins into the conversation. Great to see him get back on the score sheet, and he was certainly determined to do so. And a couple of, well, certainly the first goal, classic Ollie Watkins. But yeah, really good game, a threat, good in the air. A thorn in the side of Everton all game, and richly deserved his 2 goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said in his post-match interview as well that he's still not 100%. And I'm sure
Mm.
it's the same with the Konza, and I'm sure it's the same with anyone else. Maybe Tielemans isn't still 100%, even though he's playing well. And it shows the level of these players. We've talked about other players out there, but then, Cole Palmer didn't have his best game at the weekend, so like you are going to get a situation where it's probably still going to take a few weeks for anybody that had a long summer to get back up to speed. But despite that, he still had obviously opportunities in most of the games this season. Opportunities at Leicester, two big opportunities against Arsenal. And yesterday, I mean, this is the thing. He probably could have scored 5 goals yesterday.
Well, he said he should have had a hat trick. I mean, Morgan
At
Rogers, that
least.
was not the best ball to him,
No.
and Watkins wasn't happy. There was the one in the second half where he hit it with his left foot, probably could have took the touch with his
Yeah.
right foot and smashed it in.
The
The
header
header
in the
that was
first
cleared off
half
the line, yeah, really good
by
header.
NDI. Yeah. 2 goals. I mean, yeah, look, you get 2 goals. It's a fact. I tell you what I liked about Watkins, right? And this is something I think he brought into his game last season. His standards are sky high. So he's coming off the pitch after having his longest barren run for a couple of years at Aston Villa. Pressure on him in terms of not scoring the goals, and more pressure from the Chaos Kid, our Colombian Chaos Kid. That's a
Mm.
phrase there, right? Who's breathing down his neck like a dragon from Game of Thrones. With that kind of ferocity of heat, and yet he still comes out at the end annoyed that he didn't get the match ball. Andy, as he said to people, like, don't worry, I scored loads of goals last season. I'll do the same this season. And that is a great thing to have a player who's that confident. And I'm just buzzing for him. I'm going to mention it, Rich. I did put a tweet out on Friday
You did.
saying he needs 2 more goals to go past Dwight York to go into second position of Villa's all-time Premier League top goal scorers. I back him to do it. I back him to overtake Yorkie. I back him to back us to win. I didn't think we'd do it from 2-0 down, but yeah, I like to think I played my part and manifested it, basically.
There you go. He saw your tweet. He definitely did.
He did,
But
yeah.
I
Didn't
love
mention me, though, did he, in his post-match interview?
He didn't. He didn't.
Annoyingly.
He did not say, "Oh, I saw a tweet from KTAVFC, and I thought, right, yes, he's backing me. But
Yeah,
yeah,
it's all right.
the header at the back post. I thought about this today, and it was. I love those type of goals from strikers. And years ago, I was doing my UEFA B like level 3 coaching, and I was on the coaching course with Paul Hall, who used to play for Walsall, Coventry, I think QPR, numerous
Do I
clubs,
remember
Jamaican
Paul?
international part of the Reggae Boys.
Portsmouth as well.
Yes, Portsmouth, yes. And he was on with I became good mates with him on that coaching course actually. And we were doing like the coaching game, and he went past someone on the wing and then stood up across to the back stick like Dina did. And then Steve Anthrobus, another ex-journeyman pro, just absolutely steamed in at the back post against someone. It just reminded me, like, that's what strikers love. You know, if you get that perfect cross like Luca Dean did yesterday, strikers just love it. And because you're coming onto the ball, that's why he did so well to get up and get over Michael Keane. And Keane just had absolutely no chance. It's just like bosh in the net, get out of the way. And it was perfect. It was right at the right time for us in terms of the goal, and got us back into the game. And then his second goal, just opportunist, just being in the box, right place, right time, and he's got to finish it first time, and he did. And look, he's back on the goal scoring trail, and we know what he's like. Once he gets one or two, then he gets on a little run, and that's couldn't come at a better time for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Michael Keane, by the way, 6'3". So to get that leap above him. I know Ollie's like he's not a small guy, is he? But he's still got a hell of a leap to get up there. I just thought that was great. And the second goal, right place, right time. Still obviously had a bit of work to do to finish it off, because we got Jordan Pickford coming out. He's pretty good in those kind of situations. But yeah, I mean, credit to Tielemans for that second goal, because it was a great ball over. And I think if Jack Harrison hadn't basically miss kicked it across to Watkins, it was going to go to the Villa player there running through, and then it would have been a simple layoff to either of the two players, I think, that were there.
Yeah, but fantastic. And I gave him my man of the match. I thought in other areas he did well. I thought he linked up well with Morgan Rogers. I think Rogers should have been a bit more careful with the pass to him, and he would have had the hat trick. Maybe Rogers might have been slightly offside, but you still got to finish it. But yeah, I thought Watkins was excellent, and great to see him getting back. And if he's not fully fit and he's getting chances, like we said in the previous games, particularly like what you said, Kev, and he's now scoring those chances, what's he going to be like when he's fully fit?
Yeah, absolutely correct. And I just think it means really good things for Aston Villa in the next few weeks. We've got some big games coming up, and he's getting back in the goal scoring run. You've got a team we're playing in the Champions League who haven't won yet this season in 6 games, 3 defeats, 3 losses for young boys. So you're going to be wanting to come up against probably the best goals per minute striker in the whole Premier League in John Duran, and then Ollie Watkins, who scores England's winner in the Euro semis, who gets 27 goals last season and has now found his scoring boots this season.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
looking good.
It's an exciting prospect for us. Just before we move on to the kind of next talking point, make sure you guys help us grow the channel. We are moving on to 4,700 subscribers, I should say, on the road to 5,000. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We've got over 200 in the chat so far on X and on YouTube. So make sure you subscribe and like if you're on YouTube. Make sure you follow us on our Twitter handles or X handles at Villa Park Pod and at KTAVFC. And yeah, keep retweeting, spread the word of the channel, get everyone involved in the chat as well. So let's talk another midfielder who is absolutely taking this team by storm, and in a lot of ways taking us to another level at the moment, and that's Yuri Tielemans. I mean, just incredible, incredible performance again. I love the way he plays football. Everything is done one, two, maximum three touches. He sees the game so well. He's trying those longer passes, those chip passes, like you said, in behind. He's playing through balls. He's getting winning tackles. I mean, this guy at the moment is absolutely on fire. And I go so far as to say at the minute he's probably on form the best midfielder in the league.
Yeah, I think it's a shout. Up there with Anana.
Yes.
Look, there's some excellent midfielders in this league, but what I tell you what I like about the Tielemans situation is think about obviously that start he had. There was a slow start. He was getting a lot of. There was a lot of rumours out there that maybe he wasn't happy and he wanted to leave because he wasn't playing much in the first few months of the season, was he?
Mm.
Um, then you've got all the Leicester fans piling in saying, "Oh, he's over the hill. He's past it. He's played like hundreds of games since he's been 16." And I think a few Villa fans were questioning the signing, albeit on a free. Is he another one of those players that's maybe past it? We've seen plenty of those players over the years, haven't we? That get a move to a club when they've not done it for a bit, whatever. But I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic since he's come into the team. Second half of last season, particularly, obviously, with Kamara being out of the team, it put a bit more pressure on the other midfielders. Whereas I think Louise probably went down a bit in form. Tielemans certainly didn't. And this season, he's just been great. He seems like he's full of energy, and he's had the Euros as well, obviously. So maybe that excuse I can't have it both ways. Um, Great eye for a pass, moves the ball quickly, comfortable on the ball, does his defensive work as we saw with that last ditch tackle on Vardy in the Leicester game. I just think he's been splendid, and it says a lot that I don't think we're missing Douglas Luiz.
Certainly not in the way that we're playing at the moment. I mean,
No,
we'll see what happens in Champions League football as to whether we'd miss that player who can control a game. But I'll talk about another player who is doing that or really did that really well yesterday. But Tielemans, I mean, like I say, I just absolutely love the way he's playing football at the moment. He's taken to his role now so well, and just yeah, he's just completely dominating games, but it's in a different way to how Douglas Luiz might have done it. It's quicker, it's more dynamic. It's getting players like Rogers on the ball on the half turn. It's getting players like Watkins into feet. It's getting McGinn moving, and I'd like to see. We'll talk a bit later about getting Ramsey on that half turn and getting him moving, but everything is stemming from Yuri Tielemans, and it's just brilliant. Like even just the one touch passes that go straight back to the player are just absolutely brilliant. Like he is playing so well, and long may it continue.
yeah,
Absolutely fantastic.
and he cost us zip,
Yeah.
nada,
Well,
nil.
someone made a comment that our first choice central midfield partnership could well be out of free transfers in
Yeah,
Boubacar Kamara when he's back fit and Yuri Tielemans.
yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. And if you add to that, John McGinn for 2.5 million, Ross Barkley maybe comes in. It was what 5-6 million. I mean, in this era of football, you can think of some, was it Brewster that went from Liverpool to Sheffield United for 20 million and Jordan Ibe to Bournemouth for 15? And, League One Birmingham have just bought, albeit a very good player, Stansfield for 15 to 20 million. We've got change from 10 million quid for four top quality midfielders.
Yeah,
It's just absolutely brilliant. I mean, even Louise at 15, we got him for that was an absolute steal. But yeah, Ramsey as well came through the youth system. So just absolutely brilliant. And I'll tell you what, I'm really looking forward to seeing Kamara, how he fits into this team, because Kamara with Tielemans playing like he's playing, with the opportunity to link, with some of the weapons we've now got in the team, with a Rogers, with a newly fit Ramsey, with a Watkins. Exciting times.
absolutely. Massive shout out to Tim Williams, who has become our newest member. Thank you
Cheers,
very
Tim.
much, mate. Thank you very much for your support and welcome to the Villa Park Pod family. You are now an official Villa Park Pod follower. So thank you very much. I will be doing a new prize draw very soon as well. And Brock, who won the last one, I will be sending your Unai Emery Champions League keyring out very soon. So thank you very much, Tim, and welcome to the family. Few comments on Yuri Tielemans. PJJ Whitey is world class end of. Des saying he's a little bit over, well, he's massively overrated. He makes one pass and we treat him like a god. He's a big weakness in our midfield. Interesting, but many other people. RA Venture says, personally think Yuri is a better caliber of player than Dougie, always was. Love Dougie, but was rash and played emotionally too much at times. Scotty UK says Yuri is a better player and more involved. So yeah, I mean I think he's brilliant. I really do. And Gary said he's the best Yuri since Gagarin and out of this world. Yuri Gagarin, what was he famous for?
He
Someone
was
in the chat will have to.
a Russian astronaut. Yeah, I think he. I
Oh,
think he,
oh yes, yes, yes,
Yuri
yes.
Gagarin. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think he went to space just after that. They put the monkey in the spaceship first, didn't they? And I
Yes,
think
I remember. Yeah,
first
yeah, yeah,
was he the
yeah.
first guy in space, maybe. So there
Possibly,
you go. Yeah, the only other Yuri
possibly.
I remember is
Yuri Geller.
Djorkaeff. Yuri Geller, spelled differently. Yuri
Yes,
Djorkaeff, obviously French
yes.
World Cup winner, Bolton legend, as well as other teams.
Yeah, there we
But
are.
yeah,
There we are.
yeah,
First
he's
most
a
players.
yeah, yeah. God, I'm quite proud of my space knowledge there of Russian astronauts.
I love Gary's comments. I love them. I absolutely love
Yeah,
them.
keeps
Keep
us
them
going,
coming,
doesn't he?
Gary. So you mentioned Ross Barkley in passing there, and I just wanted to do a bit of a shout out to him because it wasn't the game for Amadou Onana. I think maybe the occasion maybe got to him a little bit playing against his old club so soon. I think the way that Everton played with putting like 10 men behind the ball, you can imagine Onana's because he's all limbs. He wants to move. He wants to get going, doesn't he? He wants to get running, and it was very very short passing, and it wasn't necessarily his game. Obviously, he made the mistake for their goal as well, but that game was made for the current Ross Barkley, wasn't it? And he came on in
Yeah,
for that second half and gave us that element of control. He played forward at the right time. He played back at the right time. He held off their players from winning the ball from him. Like he's just a strong, isn't he? Strong unit, and he just gave us some real assurance in that midfield.
yeah. And he did the same against Leicester when he came on. And I just think he's a real asset to have off the bench to start some games, as I'm sure he will. But you bring in on someone of that caliber, he looks fit, he looks strong. He's what I love about him. He's confident on the ball. He can turn left, he can turn right. His retention of the ball is really good. Um, Obviously, we haven't really seen much of him yet in terms of the offensive side of his game. But because he has got goals, definitely goals and assists in him. But I just think he's a real calm influence on the team. You're bringing him on compared to our options we had last season,
Mm.
and we've still got Kamara to come back in the squad, as we said. I just think it's a really savvy signing that we've made there. I just think he exudes class. Lost his way a little bit at Chelsea, of course, but was seen as that marauding sort of like number 10 midfielder when he was at Everton. I thought he did really well for us in the first part of that season. He just lost his form, had a few injuries second half of that season. But and obviously there was a bit of talk about whether it's a good signing or not. You can't dispute he was absolutely brilliant for Luton last year.
Mm.
And as the season progresses, you'll get more and more chances to start games. But at the moment, he's back in a team in the Champions League, levels of the Premier League when he was at Luton last season, and he's making big differences when he comes on the pitch. And I just think he helped us see out that game, obviously at home against Everton, and also away at Leicester the other week. So yeah, I mean, big credit to him.
Yeah, he was. I just thought he was really calm, really assured, really mature, and just gave us that platform to get back into the game. And his game intelligence will come to the fore as the season goes on, and that's I think some of the little bits that we missed maybe last season. When to hold the ball. I'm sure he will get into the box at times as well, and kind of push on, and that's really important for us. So yeah, really good performance from Ross Barkley. Anyone else in terms of positives? Not that I'm going to go in too much into negatives, but anyone else who kind of deserves a real shout out for you from yesterday's performances?
I think credit to Dania again, another assist.
Mm,
And I think again, I think he's been solid this season. I think we had more trouble down our right side, which I'm sure you'll talk about shortly again. But I think you got to give Dean your credit. You know, he's back in the French squad. You know, another assist, which is obviously absolutely brilliant. It was a great ball, stood up to the back post. He put in another good ball actually earlier in that half, where obviously Watkins just kind of got a toe into it. And actually, if he'd have left it, if Rogers, I don't know if Rogers called or not, Rogers would have had probably an easy side foot tap in. So that's another chance. Also, I meant to mention shout out to Onana, because even though it wasn't probably the game for him, it was a great pass he did out to Digne
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that goal. So I think maybe him. Outside of that, in terms of real standout, I thought Rogers had moments where he looked like he was going to do
Goals, isn't it?
something. What?
Needs a goal,
He
Rogers.
does need a goal. Yeah, it almost feels like he's. Do you know what? I was thinking this as well. Like, what benefit is it to him as a player and to Villa as a club for him to be going England under 21 duty? I think now, when he's probably on the edge of the main squad, I don't know how it helps. I mean, 2 weeks off, probably getting himself a bit of recovery, a bit of rest and recovery would have been good. You know, he's obviously played his part in a couple of games. Oh, brilliant! His profile. He scored a couple of goals against some under-21 team, but I'd like to be protecting his players a bit better. And I don't know Unai's mentioned it, but I do wonder if it had been Alex Ferguson, whether whether he would have gone, basically. So I'm not trying to question
Yeah.
Unai's
But
authority, but hope you get my point.
yeah, it was interesting. Lee Carsey was there yesterday, and that might have been linked to the comments and wanting to watch Morgan Rogers. I don't know if it was the best version of Morgan Rogers, but I thought he had a decent game. I thought
Yeah.
Matson was good when he came on, and it's really interesting to see that down that left-hand side, because Matson can give you that extra impetus, that extra pace on, say, with half an hour, 20 minutes to go, because Luca Dean's got that delivery from a little bit deeper, but then Matson can get you 10, 15 yards further at the pitch, especially against a more tired defence. So that's really useful. And also shout out to Emi Buendia. You know, great to see him get 10 minutes or so at the end, and looked pretty sharp, you know,
Mm.
Buendia.
He did well. He obviously, fresh from the scoring that absolute banger against Fleetwood. Great first time back in obviously a proper Aston Villa match. For the main team since what it would have been May 2023, because obviously he
Yeah,
got
they
his
said
injury
that,
before.
something like that. 2023, yeah. Yeah.
Well, he got his injury before the season, before the Newcastle game. Obviously, Mings did his knee in that game, but Buendia was out before it. Looked really fit in that summer series. I thought he looked really good. And again, there's been a few question marks. Probably all of us have thought it has his time maybe come, but do you know what? I think if he gets back to where he was at form-wise before that, I think again he can be a real asset for us. And I think the good thing about that is it puts pressure on the Rodgers of the world, on the Ramseys of the world, to segue into it, because I know you'll talk about some of maybe the slight concern, shall we say, despite the win. I think Ramsey looks like he's lacking a bit of confidence.
Mm.
I'm seeing situations where normally he might drive forward past people a bit more, but he seems like he's sort of coming back on himself quite a bit, and still some nice touches here and there. And obviously got his assist for Duran in the first game, but I know he's got bigger levels, Jacob, to get back to. Maybe it'll take him a bit of time, obviously returning to the team this season, to get there. But if you've got Buendia breathing down your neck coming back into the team, then and obviously Bailey will be fit soon, then I think that's obviously a good thing. Unai said it himself. He wants competition. He wants players, chomping at the bit. So, yeah, I think that's probably a bit of a slight concern for me in terms of JJ at the moment.
Well, let's get into it. Let's get into some of the slight concerns, because there is, you beat an Everton team with a spirited comeback after going 2-0 down to win 3-2. But let's face it, with all due respect, if you were against a better team, it wouldn't happen, and
No.
those teams would really punish us. Maybe we wouldn't play the same team. Maybe we wouldn't be as expansive, but it's still, the point still stands. Now, let's first of all let's go on just on a minor one with Ramsey. I mean, Scotty said he looked poor. Tombo said he's not quite sharp yet. Wasn't the game for him. He was swamped. But from Ramsey, what I'm seeing is, or what I'm necessarily not seeing is, and I don't know if it's a fitness thing, if it's a confidence thing, but he would pick the ball up on the half turn and he would just go. And even if it was on the left side, he would be that fast at running with the ball in possession that he'd be able to
Yep.
jink past that defender and then get it back onto his right foot in front of the defender to then have a shot or to then play a player in. But at the moment, what he's doing is he's running with the ball. He's not quite getting past the defender. He's still on his left side. He's having to turn back, and then he's playing the safe pass back to Luka Dean, or he's playing the safe pass back into midfield, and then he's not then playing the give and go to go on to see the return pass off the 1-2. I'm just not quite seeing, like, the point of Ramsey being in that team is to drive us forward and then to play like a 1-2, or to get past a defender to then have a shot. And I'm not seeing him doing that. He's just recycling possession.
Yeah, I just think that it's not really cost us too much yet, but I do think I think he's got a few more levels to go to, Ramsey. Look, we know he's so capable. He's proven it, for Aston Villa over the last couple of seasons. And there's pressure on him, obviously, with obviously Morgan Rogers coming in, because Rogers is doing that role that he was doing before, when obviously he had that sparkling spell in Emery's first season when he was great, scoring goals, assisting. It was just, even before that, in the Coutinho, when Coutinho came into Gerrard as well, Ramsey was really contributing. I remember him scoring some really good goals against Leeds, against against a number of teams. Um, Absolute banger against Norwich, scored against Brighton. He scored a number of goals, but I think now there's more pressure on him. It's all about how he responds. I think you can see sometimes a bit of frustration from him though on the pitch. I think it's a good thing. He'll have the right kind of support, the right kind of coaching. He's still young. Um, I just keep my fingers crossed, because I know he can be a real key player for us, Ramsey, and almost be a little bit unpredictable as well, particularly on the European stage. We've got a lot of players like that a lot of teams won't really know too much about, even in this era of videos and the world being a bit more global. But players like Ramsey, players like Rogers, can be slight unknowns to some of these teams.
Yeah, yeah. I just, yeah, like you say, I'm sure we will, and I'm sure we will get that dynamism back. But that injury he's had in his foot, whatever it is, can be one of those awkward ones, and maybe he's just not quite got his trust in kind of going really full pelt. I'm not. I don't know, but obviously, yeah, really want to see him back up. Maybe a goal as well. That kind of thing he could have scored in that
Yeah.
second half. He got blocked. That'll be really good for him as well to get the goal, much like Morgan Rogers. Now, we obviously conceded 2 goals in the game. One from a set piece again, which is a little bit concerning. But and loads of comments, and we were obviously always going to talk about it. But Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he absolutely, I mean, he was fantastic in the game, to be honest, and he really gave Pau Torres a torrid time. Now, lots of people talk about the kind of strength of Torres, and maybe he needs to learn to bulk up a little bit, or to use his body a little bit better. But I mean, that's where Tyrone Mings would be ideal in those type of games. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best game for Pau Torres, certainly against Calvert Lewin yesterday.
I think he struggles against those physical strikers. I think we've seen that. I think there was I remember that was it Lyle Foster that kind of like bullied him for a
Yeah,
goal
for
against Burnley.
Burnley. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Early on,
Mateta
obviously.
for Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's where you do miss big Tyrone Mings. Whether Mings would have, whether this is a situation where Emery would spot that and drop Torres for Mings, or maybe players start a different formation, who knows? But I think from a physical striker perspective, and obviously there's not loads of those in the league. I imagine if Torres was coming up against a Watkins, he would probably struggle with that kind of striker. Credit to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because I thought he was a bit of a busted flush, if I'm honest. He had that good half a season where he couldn't stop scoring. He got himself an England squad, and it was around about that time when I think like Bamford was doing well, and it was like Bamford, Watkins,
Mm.
DCL, who's the best player, but and he seemed more obsessed with like wearing random stuff in like fashion shoots and sorting his hair out. But I thought he looked really good yesterday. A bit ponderous in that one chance that Konza nearly scored own goal of the season. And obviously smashed one off the bar, which was unlucky.
Yeah,
Scored, great movement for the goal. I know, we were a bit lazy. I think it was Yuri, who's not, doesn't totally walk on water because he played DCL on side, but the way he kind of like was offside, came back onside, timed it perfectly to go back on onside. Martinez probably could have done a bit better for that. I'm sure we'll come on to him shortly. But you got to give him credit, and it's going to be a tough when he's in that kind of form. And McNeil's a good player as well. They have got some decent. Their first 11
yeah,
is
the functional
is
functional side. Yeah,
Yeah, they can cause problems. They've proved that. They went 2 up against Bournemouth, 2 up against Villa. So they're not like they're losing 4-5-0. They're just clutching defeat from the jaws of victory on themselves. And that, you are right, Richie. If that had been against someone else that didn't have it in their head, let's be clear. When they went turning up, they're all cock a hoop. But all it takes is one goal back, and they're thinking, "Here we go again," and that's going to be in their head every time we attack.
Yeah. Well, I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know whether it's more often now in games in this Premier League era, or whether it has been, 20 years previously or whatever. But it does seem to happen more often now. Whether it's mentality of players, whether it's pressure, whether it's more attacking teams, whether it's you can't spoil the game as much as what you used to. But it does seem to me that there's more comebacks these days from the so-called bigger teams that I'd call us now a bigger team against, like a likes of an Everton. Because 2-0, you knew when we got back to 2-1 if it had happened, even if it had been with 10 minutes to go, there's the character, the mentality of teams doesn't seem to be the same anymore. I don't know if that's I don't know
yeah,
if that's true, but yeah, you could just see them creaking. But like I say, Calvert-Lewin, if he could have finished, as Tim said there, he would have. They would have got the point, and he did really. It wasn't just those chances. I mean, sometimes it's easier as a team if you know exactly how you want to set up. If you just put 10 men behind the ball and you say, right, Calvert-Lewin, just run about up front, just give their defenders no time whatsoever. Just give them a headache. Just put yourself about, give them a headache. We'll just put a ball into the channel. We're not going to do anything fancy. We're going to put a ball into the channel. You try and do what you can, and we'll feed off the scraps. And that's exactly what they did. And that he reveled in that. He relished it. Like he loved it
yeah.
against even against Conte. He gave Conte a tough time as well. He just loved it because he was bringing the ball down, he was flicking it on, and Dwight McNeil was buzzing around him, and it was effective. And it causes problems, much like you said about that Lyle Foster last season. And sometimes it's difficult to play against teams like that are just as basic as 10 men behind the ball, put the ball into the channel in behind where they're attacking, especially if we give the ball away or it becomes a little bit frustrating, because they know that there's space for him to run into, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And it could have been different, obviously, if he hits that one slightly under the bar, or he doesn't, he has a bit more confidence. I think Shearer said on Match Today he should have opened his body up, and he probably should have scored that goal. Although that being said, Villa had so much of the possession, and we had way more chances than they did. So
We
if
did,
you're going to make the
we did.
argument that if he'd have not hit the bar, well, if Watkins had converted that cross in the first half, or let it go for Rodgers, if that header hadn't hit Ndiaye, if he'd not hit the left foot shot wide, let's keep going. If Duran had a couple of chances, we'll be here all day. If only Rodgers had squared it, if Everton had gone in, it would have been probably 11-4. So let's leave it at that. I do think, and I did say this in our pod group, and I'm a big believer in this now, but I do think our mentality has noticeably shifted. Liverpool at home last season, when they still needed points, 3-1 down, we came back to 3-all. Brentford were 2 up, all cock a hoop. It's all going really well. All of a sudden, in the space of 9 minutes, we're 3-2 down. We came back in that game. Sheffield United, 97th minute. There's so many examples of situations where it looks like, what are Villa going to do here? And we've done it really well. I think Spurs last season, we beat them 2-1 away. I think we were 1 down. So we've got a lot of examples of
Bournemouth
this.
away, Brentford away.
Bournemouth away. Yeah. Big teams. Remember when the last day of the season, when Liverpool wanted us to do them a favour and we went 2-0 up? I remember Matthew Cash scoring a cracking goal. Philippe Coutinho rolling back the years with a lovely finish in the corner. And all of a sudden we're 2-0 up. And what happened? They beat us 3-2 because they're a big team. We've done it over the years with Man United in the FA Cup. I remember we used to draw them. It was either Man United or Blackburn, was it, in the FA Cup and the League Cup every week. That's all they used to do with Villa. Just give them two options. I remember that game when they were 2 up. I think Van Nistelrooy scored, and so that's what big teams do. They believe they're still going to win, and that belief is transmitted to the opposition in terms of fear. My lads' team, they've had a couple of players leave this season, and they're a little bit nervous and not very confident, and you can see the opposition sniff it. A couple of 50-50 balls, and they win a couple of the early ones, and they think, right, we're up for it here. And
Mm,
Villa, I think, are in that situation now where they play against anybody. They think, we fancy this. We fancy it. Think about all the situations that have happened under Emery. Being near the relegation zone and obviously then finishing seventh. Then last season finishing fourth. The win against Man City, the win against Arsenal, home and away, and this belief he's built in the team that it's not over. And I think being
100%.
2-0 down, I know it's an Everton team that are on the ropes. I know it's an Everton team that probably thinking, oh, I'm not sure about this, but I actually really believe we were going to win the game still at 2-0.
Oh, me too.
So,
And Kevin says there, I'll get the comment up. Remember Villa
yeah,
Park crowds at 0-2. No more anguish screaming. I think Emery has even coached the fan base. And like
yeah,
even sitting at home, we were 2-0 down, but you still knew shift, the mood of the game, the way we were playing, the players that we had, the bench, the players that we had to bring off the bench, the options that we've got. You kind of knew that minimum we'd get a draw out of it if we put one or two of those chances away, and that's obviously how it turned out to be. And we've got game changers, we've got game mentality shifters, we've got people who can come on and control a game, we've got people who can come on and give us some energy. We've got so many options for that team, and when even more when players come back fit, particularly the likes of Kamara and Mings, and have even more options to bring off the bench. So yeah, it's really exciting. Absolutely, you're absolutely right, mate. And now we've got that mentality as a team and as a fan base. It's really strong, and hopefully that takes us into a real special season this season, because we are gonna the likes of games against Newcastle, Tottenham, Man City, even Arsenal, Liverpool, those games where if we can pick up points, if we can use that mentality where we probably will go 1-0 down in some of those games, but we know that we've got players who can come on and change it and can really hopefully push us on for another special season.
yeah. It's been interesting to see. I think this season how we do cope with Newcastle's been a team we've not had a very good record against. Obviously, in recent years, we probably had a couple of wins in recent years, but mostly they've had our number home and away. Man United, I know we got that win under Unai first game. What a victory that was! But really, again, last season, a Man United team that are last season they were absolutely pony and they still beat us home and away.
Mm,
Away when they were 2-0 down. And listen, we were all over them at home and we were unlucky. But there's a little psychological thing. I think we've done it by beating the City. We need to beat Liverpool, don't we, at some point, because we haven't beaten them for a bit. Particularly under the Unai era, and Arsenal, two great results against them. So we've proven we can do it, but we've got the squad fit now, and I just hope we don't get any more injuries, because if we can keep the squad, I mean, it's such an understated thing. This, I know you can easily say everyone gets injuries, cope with it, but if you've got a situation, I do remember like when Leicester won the league, right? I can't remember any of their big players been injured for much, or maybe someone will have to
no, they
correct me in the
kept they
comments.
kept Vardy's kept stayed fit. Kante was incredible. Drinkwater, he was there. And
Yeah,
who's the winger? Who's the winger?
Huth, Wes Morgan,
Yeah,
Mahrez,
Mahrez.
Okazaki,
Mahrez.
yeah, everybody seemed to be, and that is massive. If Villa can get Kamara, Mings back, if we can get Bailey back fit, you've got a cash at right as a right back option. You've got enough then in that squad to mean that you'll have some quality players won't even be getting on the bench. We are still
Exactly.
creaking a little bit on that right hand side, but it is a super exciting time. Super
Yeah.
exciting time.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up. I guess final sort of comment before we kind of round up the show with any other comments from people or any other talking points that you wanted to bring up in terms of this game. That right hand side, Lamar Bogard, fantastic for the young lad to get two first team appearances already. It's brilliant, and he played the full match. Not just necessarily him though. There was, John McGinn playing out on that right hand side. It really showed that lack of pace and that lack of sharpness without Leon Bailey. And I know it's kind of two players that haven't really played on that right side together, so that's probably not quite got that relationship. I felt it affected Ezri Konsa's game a little bit because he then had to go out and cover maybe Bogard a little bit too much. There was the time when Calvert-Lewin ran through and Bogart's kind of in no man's land and he's kind of just walking back. It's not his fault. He's obviously not used to the nuances of the team and how we operate. He's getting used to it, but yeah, that right hand side just looked unbalanced right from Konsa out to Bogard and out to McGinn, and everything was inside. Would you have maybe switched to Ramsey to that right hand side just so he could play wider, or even Rogers out on that right hand side so he could play wider? I don't quite know if it worked with McGinn there.
I think there's options. Obviously, you got Philogene as well.
I
You
mean,
could.
he was a bit shaky when he came on. I mean, I'm not.
He was.
He only had
Yeah,
5 minutes or so, but I mean,
I'm basing that on at the start of the game,
yeah,
not the cameo I
yeah.
saw, not the penalty he nearly gave away. Yeah, God, that was close. When it remember when he swiped his leg, was it Philogene? Wasn't it? He swiped at someone in the box. And
Philogene, Neely, and then Matson almost.
yeah,
He
yeah,
went
yeah.
down. Yeah,
Oh, Matson was the one who swung his leg, didn't he?
yeah,
Yeah. Look. We've got 6 points in the games that Bogart's played. Right, he started any 6 points. So you look at it on that and you think, wow, well, that's obviously really good, and it's a mark of the overall team. You got to give him credit for his first appearance against Leicester, but I did say it was a bit shaky, understandably. First game in the Premier League, But listen, this is not a trial. This is the real deal. And Villa, we need to finish if we want to get some of these players. If we want to get the Goncalves and the Jay Felixes and the Nico Williams and the Luchel Hertruders of the world. Then we need to. You've been impressed, aren't you? That we need to be in this top four again. And I do think against other teams that will get found out with these weaknesses. I mean, look, Carlos is out, Cash is out, Mings is out. I was surprised after his performances in the the Nations League, that Kostin Nedeljkovic didn't get the start against a team like Everton. I thought we'd have a lot of possession against at home. I was surprised. I thought he was probably the right choice to come in there, but obviously he didn't. And there was also times I noticed. Anyone else noticed this in the first half? It felt like there was times when Konza was right back and Bogard was in the centre. There was definitely a period of time where I'm thinking, well, their positions are definitely switched here, and it
yeah.
wasn't like they were getting back into position. So, but I think it put a lot of pressure with Pau's performance, with the pressure he was under from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and with Bogard on the right, it put a lot of pressure on Ezri Konsa. There was one point I remember I can't remember who was doing it to. He was kind of going like, "What's going on?"
Well, yeah,
to the player.
it was Konsa looked at Bogan and went, "Were you playing him on? Were you in line with us?" And
Yeah,
those are the nuances that players have to get used to, because you can do everything. You can work on line, you can work on the shape in training all you want, but it's completely different in the real world, in the real game situation. And I'm sure Emery will point out, with the red laser pen, you weren't doing this, you didn't get back
yeah,
quick enough. I'm sure, and I'm sure he'll learn fast. And it's brilliant that he's getting the opportunity. And yeah, maybe Costa Nedeljkovic possibly did deserve to start, or maybe will come in for another game. I don't know whether Emery wants at the moment is comfortable enough to have the two overlapping wingers, because then you would have had, maybe if Nedeljkovic starts, then obviously that's a different scenario. But the attack still goes down that left hand side, whether it's Digne or it's Matson coming on, and obviously Matson goes further forward. So if you'd have brought Matson on and Nedeljkovic, because there was quite a few opportunities where you could see Bogard had the opportunity to go and overlap McGinn, and that would have been the obvious choice, because McGinn's going to go around cut inside on his left foot, and then you think, right, the chances to overlap, but he was quite reluctant to do that, Bogard.
yeah,
And I'm not sure if that's
yeah.
kind of what it seemed like, that he'd been coached, he'd been told, don't do that, because Conte doesn't
Keep it
do that.
simple.
Let's face it, when he plays at right back.
Yeah. It probably would have been the case, but we know there are limitations to playing Bogard there when obviously we didn't get the right back we wanted because Carlos didn't go. Cash then gets injured. So we know this is not the ideal situation. It's not ideal playing John McGinn where we're playing John McGinn. I do wonder actually, once Mings is fit, whether you'll see a situation where, say, it is Cash or Nedeljkovic playing on that right, where you might even have a Torres, Mings, Konza three next to it. If you're going to play a sitting left back. I mean, Digne, I think, is obviously a quality option, but you know what I mean? If you want to be a bit more solid, instead of that attacking threat, maybe against a weaker left-hand opposition rather than right-hand opposition. So I think it gives us variations to fit those in. So I still think Mings has got the ability to be, a Man City, a Kanji-esque option at left back. left centre back filling in, not a traditional bombing up and down left back, but playing that left side of defence. It certainly gives a bit more security with Pau and Konza. Whether we see it, I don't know, but I just think those three together would be really good. Look, listen, these young players are going to take time to get up to speed. I think we saw that obviously with Costa in some of the games. As I said, great Nations League performance against Nico Williams actually, and Bogard. Look, he hasn't done anything massively wrong.
No,
He
and
nearly
look,
gave away a penalty.
he played a phenomenal pass through to Morgan Rogers and should have really had an assist as well. It was a
It
great
was a
save from
great
Jordan
ball.
Pickford, and it was a
Credit
brilliant
to him.
pass. And he has that as well because he can play central midfield. He can play further advanced than the defensive midfield position as well. I think when he went to Bristol Rovers, he was playing in quite an advanced midfield position. So he's clearly comfortable with the ball. And like I said, I think there was times where he really did want to go and overlap, but maybe like it's that young player doesn't want to. We're not all John Duran. We're not all. Let's just ignore what the manager tells us and let's just go and play our own game. He's clearly like Unai Emery's told me to stay in this position to let the game go ahead of me and not overlap because you could see that clearly that he wasn't kind of comfortable in doing that. Whereas as we say, John Duran is he just does what he wants.
Rich, we've got a Bogard joke from Gary. Bogard would only get the hump or three if he didn't play. Humphrey Bogard, very good, very good, very, very good, very good.
Very good, Gary. Very good. Yeah,
Play it
but
again, Sam.
look, I don't want to. Absolutely not negative at all. I think these are all good problems, challenges, and experiences to have because Bogart's played 2 Premier League games now. He's shown that he can cope at this level. He's got a baseline to improve from. We've shown we can win games without Leon Bailey, and Leon Bailey to come back fully fit after a bit of a rest will be an absolutely fantastic weapon. Jaden Philogene, when he kind of gets back into that rhythm of playing, because it is difficult when you've been out and then you're coming back. Emi Buendia, we've already mentioned. I mean, these options that we're looking at, Kev, it's just an exciting, mouthwatering prospect to think, these games we've got coming up, Young Boys on Tuesday, Wolves next week, Wickham even in the Carabao Cup. I mean, we've talked about kind of, maybe you've got to sacrifice these tournaments and da 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 da. I mean, some of the players that aren't getting a game at the moment are getting 10 minutes here and there. I mean, imagine a midfield with Barkley, Buendia, Philogene, Duran,
Kamara.
Kamara. It's like Mings coming back in that Wickham game. Like
Yeah, it's good.
It's a phenomenal
Carlos Cash,
prospect to think of. Yeah.
Carlos Cash, Matson, Robin Olsen in nets. No, don't do that.
No, yeah.
Yeah,
Gauchi. Let's get Gauchi
Gauchi.
in there. Yeah. But I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is exciting. Yeah,
yeah.
it's really exciting. There's a lot to prove for some of these players that have come in, and we are at that level where we've not bought in the proven players, because that's where we're shopping. So that's why you've got a Philogene who has never done it at Premier League level. Clearly, Bogard has another chance. Costa has another chance yet. So there's a lot to be seen. We think these guys are full of potential, and we do think that within this team, should they should be, shouldn't they? They should be, yeah. That stadium name, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a pre-match preview coming tomorrow. We'll get all the jokes
Yeah.
out tomorrow.
Yeah. We're coming live from the Wankdorf, everybody. No, sorry, we're not flying over. Look, but what better opportunity to get up to speed and get experience than in the upper echelons of the Premier League? You normally see these kind of players in a Carabao Cup game against what's it called now? The League Cup. Is it still the Carabao Cup?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The AFL Cup, Carabao Cup game against Wickham, that's where you'd normally be seeing these peripheral players, but we're having to see them now already in the Premier League. Be interesting to see the team against Young Boys. Be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait for it. I can't wait for it. Just before we finish up and just round off the show, I do need to shout out our friends, our channel sponsors, or one of our channel sponsors, Football Prizes. and this is a phenomenal prize. I know some of you have already entered this competition, and these tickets, as we know, are absolutely like gold dust to the first Champions League game at Villa Park for 40 odd years. Aston Villa against Bayern Munich as well, and they have 2 hospitality tickets available to win for this fantastic competition. And you obviously get the all-inclusive bar, all-inclusive food, ex-players question and answer, and during the match build-up, and obviously to get to watch the match. Tickets cost just £3.95, and there are only 299 tickets available. So far, over 100 have been sold, so you've got a fantastic chance to win this incredible prize. They also have instant win prizes available as well. But visit footballprizes.co.uk. I will put the link in the description as well, and search for the Aston Villa prize, and you could be going to that game, sharing the fantastic hospitality that Aston Villa has to offer. So yeah, make sure you check out Football Prizes to win. And Michelle, I know you messaged saying you have bought some tickets, so fingers crossed for you. And yeah, if anyone else gets involved in the competition, best of luck to
Yeah,
you all as well.
great prize.
Kev, anything else you want to cover from the game yesterday?
Anything else to cover? Bit of Labour
Emmy
sleaze.
Martinez, maybe. Were you?
Trump assassination attempt.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
Yeah, the game
COVID. No,
yesterday. The game.
I'm joking. Riots. No. Oh, the game. Sorry. Everyone's after Donald, aren't they? Another go at him. Another go at him. Yeah, God, poor fella. Like, people are trying to shoot him when he's playing golf now. Anyway, we won't go into that. No, Emmy Martinez. Yeah, I mean, I think that Emery has got a weakness. We saw it against West Ham, didn't we? A couple of years back when they absolutely tonked us, and there was 2 shots from. I think the origin of the shot. One of them started in Lascelles, the other one was in Nechel's, and they both managed to beat him. I think if he gets a long, slow shot, it's almost like that's his kryptonite. He can't handle it because he didn't catch it that well, but it got in the corner. And I
Yeah,
think he probably could have done. He probably could have claimed that cross as well. But smashed everyone out of the way. Look, Emmy's been sensational for us, and he's worth so many points to us. And none of us are infallible. So yeah, I'm going to give him a little bit of a bit of leeway on that, but probably expect a little bit more from him in those situations.
yeah, yeah. But overall, fantastic. We talked about mentality. Fantastic win. We went third in the table yesterday, but obviously Newcastle have came back to win today against Wolves, so not even Wolves could do us a favour today. But we're down to 5th position. I mean, shocking 5th position, Kev. But 3 wins out of 4. Great opportunity next week against Wolves. Another great opportunity in the Premier League the week after against Ipswich. Although both teams won't be easy, but great opportunity before the international break to really put a stamp on the league.
Yeah, these are the games, we've said it before, and we'll say it again, that you would want as a team like Villa right now. You're playing. We'll do the match preview fully. I feel like I've kind of talked about young boys a lot on this, but young boys haven't won in 6 games this season in the Swiss league. They're bottom of the league. If you wanted your first game in the Champions League, yeah, we'd love to be under the lights against Barcelona at Villa Park. But let's get 3 points in that competition. Let's do it. And then you've got a home game against Wolves, who are, they're not in great form, particularly at home.
No.
Maybe they're a bit away. I know it's a local derby. Some question that, but they're that's a game you should be winning. You've got Ipswich coming up. You've got Wickham. You've got games that for Aston Villa and their squad right now, and the levels we're at, it's a big opportunity to get to the end of September. We've already seen Spurs. Spurs are on 4 points. They're seen as being one of our rivals. We've already got 5 points on them. Man United are doing Man United things, although they did, play terrible and win 3-0, which is another Man United thing that they do. I know we've obviously got the big teams, Arsenal looking really strong despite, losing Rice and Odegaard. Great win, obviously. Well, they always seem to win now away at Spurs, don't they? Man City are doing Man City things as they are. Liverpool, not a great performance at all. Alex Moreno sparred Nottingham Forest, getting a win on them. For me, it's keeping us in with a chance. Get in with a chance of keeping around these positions. I'm not saying we're going to break first or second, but for me, I think I predicted third, right? So third, fourth is going to get you in the Champions League. All you can do is keep winning, but you've got to beat teams like Wolves at home, like Ipswich away, if you want to do that. And you've got to make your aberrations very, very few. Under Uno, we've done that generally. There was that big one when we lost to Forest, didn't we, away? But really, we were beating the teams we should be beating home and away. We've won both our away games this season. So, yeah, don't worry about jinxing it. So I don't believe any of that, Sky. And also, Des keeps going on about my beams. I've seen the comments, Des. Let me just be clear, right? The ceiling is stable here. It's purely aesthetics. Yeah, it's purely aesthetics. That's all it is. It's like, I'm sure if you've ever worn a tie, Des, you don't necessarily need it to hold your head up. It just looks nice. So, less of the beams, chat. Thanks. I can see. It's all right.
This podcast has had everything. It's had everything.
It's had it all. It's had the wank dwarf. It's had beams.
Yeah.
It's had.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone comment as well. My young boys. It's not too late for bedtime because it's an early kickoff. So I thought that was quite good. 5:45.
We are going to get into we are going to talk the Wankdorf Stadium and Young Boys tomorrow in our match preview. But for now, we are going to bask in the glory of that fantastic win yesterday. And yeah, like you said, Kev, we've got a massive opportunity in the Premier League in the next couple of games to really, really push on and keep that momentum going. But yeah, fantastic win yesterday. John Duran just doing John Duran things. Ollie Watkins getting back on that score sheet. Guys, thank you all for watching. We will be back tomorrow for our match preview for the Champions League returning. We will be back with talking tactics as well with Gareth. So make sure you stay tuned for that as well on the channel. Instant reaction to...
Rich, sorry to cut you off. Can you make sure Gareth gets an actual trajectory of the swerve?
I'll try my best.
Absolute goal. I want to see an angle of like swerve comparisons to Roberto Carlos, because the swerve on that goal was unreal, unbelievable.
There you go, Gareth. Make sure you've got that in your tactical analysis, the bend on Duran's shot. But yes, stay tuned for that. We've got instant reaction to hopefully our first 3 points in the Champions League. Match preview for the Wolves game. So many shows coming up. So like, subscribe, help us on the road to 5,000 subscribers. Thank you all for watching. Kev, great to have you back and firing on the channel. Remember, everyone, we all follow the Villa.